Guys, welcome to the shop. We are working on an old Mustang, and it's got an intermittent electrical problem. So we're going to start with some real basics. First off, someone's wired in a set of electronic points, and they've used these connectors that were provided with the kit. And there's nothing wrong with them, but you got to do a couple things different other than this. A lot of times, especially on marine applications, I'll get pulling on these wires after they've been crimped and literally pull them right out. So here's what I do to have a lifetime repair. That's just 100% of the time. So I start with one of these connectors. I buy them with the plastic on them. They suck. You can get them without, but they're a lot harder to find, so I just buy them from my local parts store the way they come. And I'm going to pull this plastic guy off. Now, I couldn't do it with you watching because I've only got so many hands, but basically just grab them with a pair of crimpers. These are channel lock crimpers. Snap-on makes good ones. Nipix makes good ones. But you want some that are not stamped garbage that are going to twist when you clamp on them. You want a set of forged ones. So these are like 30 bucks. They're perfectly adequate. You can see these have been in the bilges of boats and through hell and back, but it's perfectly reliable. So you see what I've done is I've gone ahead and pulled the plastic off there. I'm going to discard the plastic because if you crimp through this plastic, you can't even see the crimp when you're done, and you know it's not going to be reliable. The next thing I did is I stripped back the wire just a little bit further back than the connector is going to need, and I take a short little piece of heat shrink with goo in it. I like this stuff that you get from Harbor Freight. It's really good for the money. You got to get the marine stuff. They have some cheap crap too, but this stuff is pretty good, and it's I don't know, $5 or $6. I'm just about out. We got to get the borders open again. Just put that on. You got to remember to do that first, or you get to do it all over again. Then I'm going to take my connector, and hopefully that'll focus. You can see how I've got the crimper oriented so that it's going to push down right on that gap. Then I feed my wire in. Come on, focus. And I'm going to crimp. Now you can see that looks pretty good, but it could be better. My next trick is I grab them in the second set of crimper jaws. And I just give them a little bit more. See how that pulls that nice and tight together? Now there is an absolutely beautiful, solid crimp that's probably good for the life of the vehicle in a lot of applications. But I go the next step because I'm just particular about what I do. Rather than just pulling the heat shrink over and hitting it, I'm going to solder this. And I'm sure there'll be somebody in the comments section telling me how solder is going to make this brittle and it's going to break behind and all sorts of shit. Well, it doesn't. We use zip ties and loom and we secure the wire properly. It's not going to break if we do it right. So what I want to do is heat up, but kind of heat away from the wire. Sorry it's not in focus. I've only, like I said, only got so many hands. Let's give it a little dab. Now look at that. What we've done there, come on, focus. Focus. There we go. Is we've mechanically connected it with the crimp. We've now sort of chemically and mechanically connected it with the solder. That's made a really good, robust connection. And it's not going to be able to wick. I'm sorry about the focus, guys. It's not going to be able to wick down the wire because we've sealed it up. It's literally wicked the solder, and that's going to block it. And then the very last thing we're going to do is slide on our heat shrink, and we're going to heat that up. Okay, and we're almost done. So we've gone ahead and done our ground wire to the coil, and you can see we've got a power supply for the points and our power supply run back. Now, the last thing before I connect these, you can see nice flexible connection. It's not going to break off. The shrink tube is going to work like a bit of a strain relief, but the solder ends right where the end of my finger is, and then like I said, you've got a double thickness. Like that could rock back and forth for years without breaking a single strand of the wire. The last thing, when I got to make multiple connections, what I like to do, because these have a profile, see how that is sort of offset? There's a flat plate, and then below that, where my thumb is, sort of sticks down. Well, if we stack a bunch of these together, they sort of make a bit of a mess. So what I like to do is I'll put them on the stud like that, where they're sort of back to back. That way they kind of create their own clearance and they're not trying to bend the eye one way or another. And then there we go. one little zip tie. We're going to come in with our flush cut pliers. We're going to cut those as close and straight as possible because there's nothing sharper in this world than a zip tie cut off at 45 degrees. And that's it. That is good for the life of the car. Thanks for watching.